Hey, yeah, let's see how you do under pressure. Oh, yeah, I've been wanting this forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay, hey, yeah, ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back in to another episode podcast to talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. Huge shout out to the people that are currently in the chat right now. Do me a huge favor. I might be having a little bit of technical difficulties here on my end, but can you hear me? Were you able to hear anything intro-wise of the like the intro music and stuff like that? Was everything good? For some reason, I wasn't able to hear it here on my end. I want to make sure that everybody's able to hear everything. Just give me a quick sound check here in the comments below. Can you hear me out there? What's up, y'all? Appreciate you guys for being here, by the way. We got Jameson, we got Malls, we got Otis, Michael. Got a couple other people here. We got Crazy Panda up there. What's up, y'all? Appreciate you guys for being here. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me very, very good. Like I said, for some reason, I wasn't able to hear the intro music here in the start. Okay, good. All right, so we're good to go. All right. Appreciate you, Spider. Thank you so very much for responding. Appreciate you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a good, fun-filled show for you guys today. Obviously, if you guys haven't already read the title, we're going to talk about a little bit of the draft. You know, one of the big talking points amongst Cardinal fans, or just, I guess, the era of Monty Austinford, is that he loves draft picks. This man loves draft picks. And can we see another trade down option here for the Cardinals? Can we trade back within the first round from 16 to God knows where? Or can we just trade back in any other rounds that we have, or any other picks that we have, where it comes down to should or would you want the Arizona Cardinals to potentially trade back? So that's what we're going to be diving into today. Let's get started. Let me go ahead and just give a huge shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube, the guys that are keeping the lights on. BetUS. If you're looking for a brand new sports book, BetUS is the way to go. Currently, right now, if you use promo code YouTube150, they will provide you with a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and a 125% sign-up bonus on the following two. That's going to be using promo code YouTube150 upon signing up. Of course, bet responsibly and bet within your means. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started here. Let's talk about should the Arizona Cardinals trade back in the 2025 NFL draft. Let's go and get started here, shall we? All right, and I want to get you guys involved in the chat as well. I think it's no surprise here that when you're looking at the tenure or looking at the history of what the Arizona Cardinals have done, is the Cardinals love trading back, right? They love trading back, and that's just Monty Austinford's forte. We did it here in 2023 and in 2024 as well. Now, in 2023, we traded back from that first pick that we had, and I believe it was the number 3 spot. We traded out of the top 10 to trade back up into the top 10, which is the top 6 pick, and then we ended up getting Paris Johnson Jr. Now, in the 2024 NFL draft, we stayed pat with the pick that we have at the number 4th overall spot, but we did trade back that second round pick, right? And I know some people out there, I've heard already some complaints about the Cardinals should have gone after Cooper DeJean. He was there for the Cardinals to potentially take, but instead of that, we ended up, trading back, accumulated another 3rd round pick. So we had 4 3rd round picks in this last draft, which equated to Elijah Jones, which he spent a majority of the time on the IR, Tip Ryman, Trey Benson, as well as Isaiah Adams as well. So all 4 of those guys were 3rd round picks for the Cardinals, but we did trade back and we ended up getting Max Melton, which we still got a huge need, right? And it's a guy that's the Arizona Cardinals liked in Max Melton. So I like Max Melton. I think he could definitely develop into hopefully becoming CB number 2 for the Cardinals. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he becomes a lockdown guy for us, and God knows we need it. God knows we absolutely do need the help here in the secondary, but I do believe there's a lot of potential within the secondary for the Cardinals. So big question out there is, should the Cardinals trade back, right? Should they trade back from the current spot that they're at right now with the 16th overall pick? Should they trade back? Now, it's such a deep question when you ask this question, because where the Cardinals are at 16, you don't know who's going to be picked up with the top 1 through 15s, right? You don't. You don't know what's going to happen within the top 1 through 15. Now, it's easier to do these mock drafts when we're sitting with the 4th overall pick, when you're sitting with the 1st overall pick, when you're sitting with the 3rd overall pick, right? It's so much easier to do these mock drafts because you can predict what the other teams are going to do in front of you. But being the fact that the Cardinals are sitting at the 16th overall pick this time around, you never know who's going to be there at 16. Now, one thing we do know as Cardinal fans is that we should address the defensive line, right? Or trenches, right? I know there's some Cardinal fans out there that would love the Cardinals to potentially go after a tackle, especially if one falls to them and they're the top 5, top 3 tackles that are out there, potentially going after that route, or just going tripling down and going defense when it comes down to our first 3 picks, right, in the NFL draft. Cardinals need to really establish a pressure and a just rejuvenated defensive line. This defensive line that we had in 2024, even with the addition of obviously adding Darius Robinson, which I still have high hopes and praise for, but we just don't know what he's going to turn into, right? A lot of injuries, unfortunately, in the first year. We know that the passing of his mom really kind of delayed some things as well, but it was mainly the injury of re-aggravating the calf. And then we brought in Baron Browning, which is a good rotational piece, but they're not X factors, right? They're not going to be guys that are going to take over games, right? Like your Myles Garrett or your Michael Parsons or your Max Crosby's or any other guys that you potentially can think of. So this defensive line can definitely use a very well facelift. I guess the best way to describe it, right? A very well facelift. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Daniel Jeremiah, one of the gurus when it comes down to these mock drafts, he ended up mocking a couple different. He has already 2 points, so he's got a 1.0 mock draft and he's got a 2.0 mock draft. Now, the guys that he chose for the Arizona Cardinals, I didn't have in my first round when I did my mock drafts. Now, Daniel Jeremiah is a much more smarter guy than I am, and I could definitely admit that. So I want to go ahead and take a look to see what the picks for Daniel Jeremiah for the Arizona Cardinals are on his 1.0 mock draft and 2.0 mock draft. And let's take a look at this together. Now, this is going to be the 1.0 mock draft for Daniel Jeremiah. Now, if you take a look right here, these are going to be the first. So in his 1.0, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, first quarterback taken with the 3rd overall, Will Campbell, Graham, Sanders drops to 6, Tyler Warren. So Michael Williams, which is a guy that I had in one of my mock drafts, hoping the Cardinals could potentially get. And I did also get Tyler Booker, but obviously he's a first-round talent. Genty going to the Cowboys. But when it comes down to the Cardinals, we have Jalen Walker, right? Now, like I said before, this is his 1.0 mock draft. So he's got one that's already newer than this one. So if we go ahead and look at the newer one, which is the 2.0, this is where we're standing with it. Now, I'm curious to figure out where you guys are at right now. I know we're going to talk about should the Cardinals trade back, right? 2 players that he has mocked over to the Cardinals are defensive players. And he knows exactly what the Cardinals need, right? So either Kenneth Grant or Jalen Walker. Who do you prefer? Who do you prefer, right? Because Walter Nolan goes in his 2.0 before. Because if you're really thinking about it, the top defensive linemen, the ones in the interior that are supposed to be the best of the best, obviously the top one right now is probably going to be Mason Graham out of Michigan. Walter Nolan, which goes to the Cowboys here in this mock draft. And then we end up going our own interior as well. And then he gets Kenneth Grant for the Cardinals, which I'm not mad at, right? I'm not mad at. What say you? What pick do you like better here from Daniel Jeremiah, his 1.0 or his 2.0? This one right here is his 2.0. And then his 1.0 is going to be Walker. What say you, chat? We got a guy in the chat says we should go after Crosby. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the Cardinals should go after a player like Crosby. Definitely. I don't know. It seems like Crosby might be kind of content with what's happening right now. We're not really seeing a lot of disgruntledness going on. Now, granted, we saw one tweet that was very, very cryptic when it comes down to Max Crosby. The one real guy that is most likely going to be available is Myles Garrett, right? That's the guy that's going to be, we know for sure is going to be available. Myles Garrett. Now, here's the big question. Can the Cardinals go after him, right? Are they going to use the draft capital to go after him? And or does Myles Garrett want to come here, right? Does he see us as a contender, right? Does he see us as a team that's Super Bowl caliber or heck, even a playoff caliber team, right? I know Cardinal fans in 2025, you're in year 3 of Jonathan Gannon. You're hoping that that's the next step for us to move forward. But does Myles Garrett see us as that, right? That's a big question. So would I be down for a blockbuster trade? Of course I would. I would love nothing more than getting a blockbuster trade for the Arizona Cardinals. It's just, will it happen, right? Is that a Monty Austinfort's move, right? We don't know at this very moment. We'll have to kind of wait and see. Crosby would change everything. I agree. It would definitely change the vibe or the culture of this team, definitely in my eyes as well, if the Cardinals do go after a Crosby. But you also got to keep in mind, if we go after a Crosby, right? Like, let's just say we live in a world that we go after Crosby. We don't have a first round pick this year, right? We don't have one. We're not going to have one. And that's probably going for Myles Garrett as well as Micah Parsons and Crosby. If we do go after any of those guys, we don't have a first round pick this year because there's going to be that and then some, right? And then some other things to potentially, you know, it would take more, right, to get those guys on this roster. And like I said, proven guys, I would love nothing more than that. That would be amazing, right, for the Cardinals to do something like that. It's just, I don't know. I feel like the way that Monty Austinfort has done things so far in these 2 years, I don't know. I feel like he loves the draft so darn much that he's probably going to stick and pick at 16, or the trade back option is always there, right? It's always going to be there. So continue to talk about Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, Kenneth Grant potentially being the 16th overall pick. And at this point, when you're looking at this mock draft, you still have a lot of edge rushers that I'm surprised fall to the level that they're falling. Let's take a look here. Shamar Stewart's still there. Okay, let's take a look at the first part here real quick. So Abdul Carter, obviously the best freaking potentially player in the whole draft, Abdul Carter. Some might say Travis Hunter, but it's just so confusing on what he's going to be playing in the NFL, right? Maybe cornerback, maybe wide receiver. We don't know. So he's got Mason Graham going. So he's got Mike Green going. So the funny thing, not crazy, but the funny thing here is that in this mock draft, you don't even see James Pierce Jr. anywhere. You got Michael Williams going right before the Cardinals going after Kenneth Grant here with the 16th overall pick, which makes sense. The Atlanta Falcons most likely would go after an edge rusher, but you don't see James Pierce Jr. here at all. I know that there was some sort of thing that kind of was released yesterday, and I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but did you guys hear the news about James Pierce Jr. about having some, it's called character issues? I believe that's how they're describing it. They're describing it as character issues. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. It was on X/Twitter that they were Kenneth Grant, or sorry, not Kenneth Grant. I apologize. James Pierce Jr. now has character issues that people need to apparently worry about. Here it is. I think it comes from the NFL draft files. So let's take a screenshot of this bad boy here real quick, and let's go ahead and dive into it together. And the reason why we're talking about James Pierce Jr. is because we are in dire need of an edge rusher, right? We're in dire need of an edge rusher, and this is one of the best ones out there. I have heard that there was some injury or personal issues with Mike Green as well. I didn't see anything confirming it on X or Twitter, but this is what I've seen here from James Pierce Jr., which is a guy that I had at this last mock draft for the Cardinals to potentially take. Check this out. This is the post that I was talking about here for James Pierce Jr. Let me get this a little bit bigger so we can kind of dissect this here together. Here we go. Perfect. Okay. So this came out yesterday, right? This came out yesterday. It says James Pierce Jr.'s character concerns are allegedly causing his draft stock to plummet. A playoff team's director of player personnel said he is in danger of getting dropped off our board, and that there are a lot of character concerns. Pierce has an elite analytical profile, elite film, SEC pedigree, and will destroy athletic testing. So what they're saying here is that he potentially could land either in the bottom half of the first round or even in the second round because of character concerns, right? Now, is this something that was put out on the table for him to fall to a specific team? Because if you take a look down there, it says, please don't let him fall to the Eagles. I think everybody in the NFL feels this way now, right? Everybody in the NFL feels like Howie Roseman, the GM of the Eagles. Every player that people want to mock over to their team, they somehow fall to the Eagles, right? So is this going to be one of those things where he might find his way to the Eagles organization because of a character concern? I don't know. One thing that I do know, he's definitely top 3, top 4 edge rusher in this class. I've seen multiple mock drafts that he goes in the top 10. I've seen multiple mock drafts that he goes top 12. So this is going to be a very, very interesting thing in how this is going to be approached here in this combine, right? We got the combine coming up here pretty soon as well. The combine comes within probably about a week and a half or so. So I like James Pierce Jr. I'm not going to lie to you, but whenever I hear character concerns, I'm automatically thinking, man, this is not a Monty guy, which I kind of hate saying to myself because I said that about Jalen Carter, and Jalen Carter is wreaking havoc, right? Now, is he benefiting from having a great defensive line in general? Maybe, right? But he's still doing it, right? So James Pierce Jr. probably going to fall. Maybe not. Maybe not. As long as the Cardinals can get a player like this as an edge rusher, I would be good, right? I would be good. We got my guy Arturo in the chat. Says, Mike, do you think Calais Campbell would ever finish his career in AZ? I don't know, man. I don't think so. If it was Steve Keim here, probably. But you also got to keep in mind that this new regime that we have here, there's no ties with Calais, right? Although we, as Cardinal fans, we know how Calais Campbell was and how great it would be. It's just, I don't see it happening. There's no ties with this new regime with Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort. So I would say no. I would love to see it, but I don't know. I just don't see it happening. So there's that, right? I really do like James Pierce Jr., man. He was one of the top, especially like I said in my 2.0 mock draft. I ended up going after this guy right here. Edge rusher that can definitely potentially be an X factor. Mike Green is another guy that I really do like as well, especially in the Senior Bowl. He went nuts, man. He went nuts this last year in the Senior Bowl. So as long as we can address what is the biggest need on this team, defensive line and or trenches, I feel like I would be good. I'll be happy. So let's go back to the original question here that we have. Should the Arizona Cardinals consider trading back, right? To me, I hope not. I get Monty Ossenfort likes draft picks. I really do. But I'm not going to come out here and say that the Cardinals shouldn't have traded back in that first year when they got a Paris Johnson. But there was just so much in me that I wanted them to stick with that third overall pick and getting the best defensive player on the field, right? We didn't do that. We decided to trade back, accumulate another first-round pick, and then, obviously, got Darius Robinson, which let's hope he can blossom into the guy that we all hope him to be, right? I don't want the Cardinals to trade back at the 16th spot. Now, it depends on who falls, right? Can we be living in a world where we see 3 quarterbacks taking in the top 10 or top 15? Maybe, right? We talked about this last week. Or I'm sorry, not last week. We talked about this yesterday. What am I talking about last week? We talked about this yesterday, right? We said that the Jets are in shambles right now. The Jets are scrounging around trying to find a quarterback because they're cutting Aaron Rodgers. Now, there's a lot of rumors and speculations that the Jets potentially could trade up. There's some rumors and speculation saying that the Cardinals could potentially go after a big-time trade, right? And that's why we talked about the Kyler Murray to Jets rumor that was happening yesterday, right? I hope the Cardinals can stick at 16. We got to get the best player available because we could be living in a world where, hey, maybe 3 quarterbacks might go, right? Maybe Dart, maybe Milrow if somebody really, really likes him. I don't know. I feel like Milrow didn't do good in the Senior Bowl, but he can elevate his draft stock in the combine. If he can, maybe there might be a team that can very well pull the trigger and get him, right? Malls in the chat says, I miss Calais. I agree. I do miss Calais as well. I don't want the Cardinals to trade down personally, but it depends on who's there, right? It depends who's there. If James Pierce Jr. falls and we know he's going to fall and we want to accumulate more draft picks and we get him, maybe the gamble might be right. I know some people out there want Walter Nolan. Hey, I ain't mad at that, right? I know some people out there want Mike Green. Just depends who's on the board there at 16 and how far you decide to go back, right? How far you decide to go back. Spider in the chat says, bring back Pat P. I don't think that's going to happen, right? The Calais Campbell, you might have sold me on the thought of the relay. I just feel like Pat P, although I don't have any issues with Pat P, I actually do still consider him one of the best first-round picks the Cardinals have had in the 2010s. One of the best first-round picks the Cardinals have probably ever had in terms of what he's provided to the Arizona Cardinals organization. Just, I don't know. There's a lot of Cardinal fans right now that don't feel it with Pat P. I don't get it. Maybe Cardinal fans feel personally attacked when he was actually attacking the GM at the time, Steve Keim. I understood it. I get it. I want Steve Keim is gone as much as the next guy wanted, right? So I don't blame Pat P. But it's probably more plausible for Calais to come back, and that's probably not going to happen than Pat P, right? So Michael in the chat says, I would hate whoever gets Abdul Carter. Well, I mean, the good thing that we got going for us Cardinal fans is that we don't have anybody in our division in the top 5, right? That's a good thing. That's a good thing. We don't have anybody in the top 5 in our division and or in the conference, with the exception of the Giants. In the top 5, which most likely Abdul Carter is going to go, he's probably going to end up on the AFC side. Which is good. And now looking about it, 1 through 7, with the exception, so out of the first 7 picks, 1 team is on the NFC, and that's the Giants. But you have the Titans, the Browns, the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Raiders, and the Jets, 1 through 7. So out of the first 7 picks, only one of them's on the NFC. So we're not going to have to worry about him in our conference, thankfully. And we don't have to worry about him in our division, thankfully, right? Because at 8 and 9 and then 10, that's when you start seeing these NFC teams coming up. So, I don't know. I'm in the thought process of just stick and pick at 16. If it's Mike Green, let's go. If it's Walter Nolan, let's go. If it's James Pierce Jr., let's go. I get it. This report coming out here does not give you the warm and fuzzies, right? Doesn't give you the warm and fuzzies. But I don't know. I feel like we see this year in and year out. I feel like we see this a lot when it comes down to players that are really, really good. There's always some sort of thing that comes out. There's always something that comes out. Oh, James Pierce Jr. has concerns, right? Jalen Carter has got concerns. Laramie Tunsil has concerns. He's a video about, with him smoking a bong. Concerns, right? And who do they fall to? The damn Eagles, right? So, I mean, it's just if you're willing to take the risk, I like James Pierce Jr. I think he's gonna be a dog in the NFL, and we need one of those guys. We need him. We need him. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But right now, stick and pick. Stick and pick. Mike in the chat is agreeing with me. All right, 2 Mikes agree. Let's go. No trading down unless you get a haul. I mean, when you're sitting at the 16th overall pick, I guess it's going to be what's a haul like, right? Like the only way I can see a haul for the Cardinals to potentially get a haul is if they if they get out of the first round in general, right? Like that's a haul to me. If you're going from like 16 to 20, you're probably going to accumulate like a third rounder, maybe a fourth rounder, just depending on what team's willing to negotiate, right? I don't know if you can even get a haul with the 16th overall pick unless there's this crazy generational talent that falls at the lap and you got multiple teams bidding for it. Then I think you can kind of probably get a haul then. It's just, I don't know. I don't feel like the Cardinals are going to be in a good situation to even get a haul. That'd be cool. That would be great. It's just, we'll see. Mike in the chat says, you getting season tickets this year? Well, this is the season I potentially can get some because I'm no longer doing the contracts expired with a few different companies that I was working with. So now I potentially can. It's just, I got to speak to a couple reps and see how it works. But you also got to think, so the content, I got to figure all that stuff out as well. Mike, if the Super Bowl day ever comes for us, are you buying tickets? Oh, of course. Of course. Of course. Cardinals? You're talking about the Cardinals in the Super Bowl? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know one thing. I want playoffs and no loss versus the Panthers. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. $450 for 8 tickets. Say what? Is that the prices right now? Probably get nosebleeds, 1 ticket for like $450. Is that the prices right now? Have you guys talked to reps already about those tickets? I can imagine they're very expensive. Honestly, talking to Cardinal fans in general, people don't seem too excited about this year. They don't seem too excited about this year, right? And I don't know if you agree with me or not. I just don't think people are really excited about this year. I mean, I know the next step is supposed to be playoffs and or obviously double-digit wins, but Cardinal fans right now feel some type of way, right? And I don't blame them. I don't blame them. We'll see. I mean, all we can really hope and pray for is that the Cardinals can finally get over the hump, and that is finally winning a playoff game. It's been long overdue, man. It's been long overdue. Ivan, what's up, buddy, man? Appreciate you for being here. What's up, bud? We went to the Super Bowl, but the Steelers denied Larry a ring. Yes, 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 yes. Is this nosebleeds, Tony? Is this nosebleeds or is this like bottom level? Because bottom level, that makes sense. Bottom level, that makes sense. Bottom, yeah, because there's no way nosebleeds go for that. So you must be bottom level. Like you must be like those good seats. You must be those good seats. Up wow. Over last year in one less home game. Sheesh. Hebe in the chat says, I just have not a good. So you're saying that you don't have a good feeling. You don't have a good feeling about this year, you're saying. Well, I mean, let's hope, man. Let's hope. And that's one thing that, like, I want to, so to me, I know when the season turns around or when it comes, I'm going to be like, yeah, let's go, right? We're going to have a season. Let's go. Cardinals football starting back over. But something in me, man, something in me is telling me that don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. And that's why I'm trying to plan for the future so much, right? So if you're asking yourself, oh, why do you hate our current quarterback right now? It's not that I hate him. It's that I want this Cardinals organization to not lose more years with not planning ahead, right? I've seen this organization year in and year out They never plan. They never plan. They're always going into something in a different year with just no plans. And that's one thing that frustrates me as a Cardinal fan, because if you don't have a plan, you set yourself up to consistently be in rebuild year in and year out. And we're all hoping that Kyler Murray can take the step. We're all hoping that Kyler Murray can finish the season fully, right? And take us to the playoffs. We're all hoping for that. But history tells us that it doesn't happen, right? History tells us that it doesn't happen. So I don't blame you, Hebe. I really don't. I don't blame you one bit if you feel this way, because somewhere deep down, there is a feeling about this as well for me too. Hebe in the chat says, we'll take a step back like every time. Some SHIT will happen every time. Well, here's the thing, right? One thing that we saw in this last year is that Kyler Murray was actually able to be healthy for a full year, right? What we saw Kyler was able to stay healthy the full year, right? We haven't seen that in history. So one thing I need to see as well is Kyler Murray continue to stay healthy, right? And not crashing and burning at the end of the season, right? And it's not just Kyler. It's the whole team, right? But Kyler Murray's got that stigma on him. So I don't blame y'all. I don't blame y'all for feeling the way you guys feel. Tony in the chat here says, yeah, it's in the main section. Those are definitely good seats, Tony. Absolutely. Good stuff. Well, that makes sense. Do you think we'll retire number 11? We should. Why it's taking this long? Obviously, if Larry Fitzgerald came out, and said, I'm retiring, we probably would have, right? There would have been a lot of stuff catered to Larry. It's just Larry just was like, nah, bro, I'm not going to say I'm retiring, although we knew that he wasn't going to play again, right? I guess he just wanted to take his own approach and doing things. So there's that. Let's go with Malls. What's up, Malls? He says, Cardinals have to earn my money for me to go to a home game. I live 15 minutes away from State Farm Stadium and didn't go once last year. And here's the thing, too, right? And you guys, chat, or whoever's watching this in a replay, this is how we are. I mean, let's be honest, right? The lack of success has made Cardinal fans feel this way, right? I mean, in year one of JG, we gave all the slack in the world, right? We gave all the slack in the world for JG, right? In this regime. Year two, one thing that I would like Jonathan Gannon to say is, I don't know, man. I feel like we're just focusing too much on the 4 wins to 8 wins, right? There's just so much focus on the 4 wins to 8 wins that there's not a lot of focus on what happened, right? What happened to get us to this level that we crashed and burned in the second half, right? So because the Arizona Cardinals went from 4 wins to 8 wins, which honestly is impressive, right? On its own, it's an impressive thing. You double your amount of wins, right? But we're not focusing on the bigger problem. The bigger problem is, why did you crash and burn, right? Why were you leading the division and running away with the division in the bye week and then crashed and burned, right? But it almost makes us feel like every person we bring in here, every person, either it's a coach or general manager, they all kind of feel the same way. It's progress. And I'm not sure if it's Michael Bidwell. It probably is. It starts at the top, right? It starts at the top. It almost kind of seems like, okay, well, hey, brownie points. Here we go, right? You doubled your amount of wins. High fives all around, which is cool. It's cute. It's fine. But, like, I don't know. It just doesn't give the let's go for the Super Bowl in year 3, right? Because let's call it like it is. Like, does anybody feel like in this chat? Let me know. Are we Super Bowl bound in year 3? Be honest. Are we a Super Bowl bound team in year 3? No, I don't. Like, Cardinal fans right now just want a playoff win. Like, that's what we want. We want a playoff win. Like, isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? Washington, which was in the dumps with us, right, in terms of an organization that didn't seem like they get it right, they got a new ownership and boom, got a new quarterback in Jaden Daniels. Freaking looks like he's a rock star. Playoffs, year one. Does anyone remember the Texans? They were the second round. They were the second overall pick, while we were the third overall pick. We traded back to trade back up. And they got a guy that I wanted, Will Anderson Jr. And they hit the playoffs twice and won a couple playoff games. So like we allow ourselves to get abused. Let's be honest. We allow ourselves to get abused, right? So I get it. I know it's a long answer to say I get it. I understand where you're coming from, Hebe. Why you don't really have a lot of faith that the Cardinals are going to figure it out. The only thing I can hope for is that we do got so much money this year, right? That I hope that we're going to see a different approach to the way we handle free agency. Free agency so far in 2 years of Monty Ossenfort has not been great. I'm going to be real. Hasn't been great. But no, going into year 3, nobody's talking Super Bowl because we have more questions than we have answers. Like, rebuilds are cool. Rebuilds are fine. But there's got to be a destination. Why do I feel like every time we're rebuilding, by the time we hit year 2 or year 3 or year 4, we want to blow it up? Because this isn't working, right? Because this isn't working. So that's the reason why when I'm on here, right, I want to plan for the future. That's what I'm always doing. I'm always trying to plan. But no, man, I'm always talking about Super Bowl right now. Not with what we got. No, not at all. Not at all. Michael in the chat says, living in Belgium. Oh, wow. Cool. Appreciate you, Michael, for being here. Living in Belgium, all I see are Patriots fans. Cocky as heck. I will wear my Cards gear with pride. Awesome. Amazing. Yeah, well, those Patriots fans probably are going to jump ship pretty soon because the Patriots have not been good and probably will not be good since Brady left. They're going through their own rebuilds themselves. But that just shows you, man, you get a solid, great quarterback. Man, you could be set up for years, right? And I feel like Jaden Daniels can be the guy as long as he can stay healthy. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, although they had a declining of a year. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You could always be in contention with those type of quarterbacks, right? Unfortunately, we just have a lot of questions about our current state of our quarterback situation right now. Ivan, what's up, Ivan? He says, our plan was finalized when Bidwell extended Kyler for 5 years. Can't blame the coaches, GM, or Kyler for that. So our plan was finalized when Bidwell extended Kyler for 5 years. Can't blame the coaches, GM, or Kyler for that. I mean, it probably was Steve Keim's decision, or at least somewhat of a decision, right? Are you saying don't blame Steve? Or are you talking about this current regime, you're saying? Oh, if you're talking about this current regime, okay, then I don't blame you. Right? I agree with you is what I'm saying. You can't blame this regime on that. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree, but you could still go after a quarterback. I mean, if he's not your guy, I mean, what's to say that you can't go after somebody that you want, right? Who's to say you can't? You know what I mean? The problem is that, I don't know, it's like the rebuild that we got going on was set to fit Kyler Murray, but it almost feels like it's not, right? It's not. So, I don't know, man. I want 2025 to work out for us. I really, really do. It's just, show me what free agency is going to do. Like, that's what I'm really at. Show me what we do in free agency. Like, are we willing to spend money that we have, cap space wise, right? And I'm not saying we like it's our money, but the organization has it. And Michael Bidwell, is he willing to open up the pocketbook, right? That's funny. This current regime, yeah. So you're talking about this current regime. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But I mean, see, here's the thing, and this will never happen, right? There is general managers or coaches that can come in and make a decision, change if they wanted to. There is, right? Let's look at Sean Payton, for example, right? Wasn't Russell Wilson getting paid crazy amount of money? Sean Payton came in and was like, nah, no, we're not going to use you. We're going to release you. We're going to release you. We're going to take a year of absolutely bad, dead money because I want to. Now, granted, the ownership of the Denver Broncos are wealthier, way more than Michael Bidwell is. They're the owners of Wally World. They're the owners of Walmart. So, of course, they got a lot more money so they can do things like that. But, it could be done, right? It could be done. It's playoffs or bust, man. It's playoffs or bust. Go get Myles Garrett and bring back Christian Kirk. I don't know if you heard those things about Chris. Was it Christian Kirk's mom that came out? Was it Christian Kirk's? Correct me if I'm on the chat. Who came out and said finally when Christian Kirk left the Cardinals? Wasn't his mom that came out and said finally he's going to play with a real quarterback? Did anybody remember that? Somebody came out and said, and I could have sworn it was Christian Kirk, that when he left the Arizona Cardinals, somebody came out with a tweet saying finally he's going to play with a real quarterback. Let me know in the chat. To be honest with you, I'm not too gung-ho about bringing Christian Kirk back myself. Myles Garrett, yes, I'm right there with you. Let's do that. Myles Garrett, I'm right there with you. But Kirk, I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't do anything for me. Give me a young wide receiver that we use a 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick on that's going to be a stud. That's going to be a stud. That's what I would really want. Because Christian Kirk, man, injuries, we've tried it already. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me. But yeah, Myles Garrett, bing, 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 right there. I'm down with that. I did hear this. We aren't serious about Mario Cooper. No, I don't think so. So I know what you're talking about. I did hear the same segment that you're probably referring to. And I believe it was on Arizona Sports where they were talking about like a fit for the Cardinals getting Amari Cooper. We should not. No way in heck. Don't even consider Mario Cooper. No. What we need is a different type of wide receiver. That's what we need. Right? A stud rookie guy that's going to be able to burn the defense, is going to be able to spread the field, a speedy guy that's great at route running. That's what we need to look for. We got our X factor, or at least hopefully we're hoping he's going to develop into that X factor, and then Marvin Harrison Jr., right? We got him. We got the big guy. We got a good complement to the big guy in Michael Wilson. Give us something different, right? I respect what they try to do with Greg Dortch, and if he comes back, cool. But what I really would love this Cardinals to see is address that wide receiving position, primarily in the slot. Give me a young guy that's going to spread the field, right? And you can find him if you really want to, take a swing. You'll find him. So I hope we're not. Zay Jones, sheesh. Yo, I'm not going to lie to you. The thought of Zay Jones when we first originally signed him, I was like, okay, let's see what he does. Nothing happened, man. Nothing happened. Myles Garrett laughing at the Cardinals. Oh. I do agree with this. Yep. That's why this year, I'm cool with those first 2 picks, first round 1 and round 2. I'm cool with it. Trenches. I'm cool with it. Whether it's offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, I'm cool with it. That, and then also free agency. Like, here's the thing. If the Cardinals come out and get either Milton Williams, right, which is a guy a lot of people like from Philly, and or Josh Sweat, I think people can consider this, okay, now we're trying to go for it, right? Because you got Milton Williams out there, which most likely or hopefully is going to hit the open market. Then you got Josh Sweat, potentially also from the Eagles, going to hit the open market. If the Cardinals go after these big names, that, okay, I think we get more excited as a Cardinal fan base. We just can't see what we've seen, right? We just can't see what we've seen or what we have seen uh, in these last two free agency classes. We can't. The only two guys that were good for the Cardinals in those 2 years was Kazir White and Mac Wilson Sr. That's it. That's it. Everybody else injured or we just don't know, right? So, I don't know. You have a guy in the chat. Vargas says, you see Stephon Diggs is with. Oh, man. I did see a video. It is what it is to me. Like, I can care less, though. Brandon in the chat says Zay, but I mean, Zay Jones. I was happy when we got him. I'm not going to lie to you. I was actually pretty excited about him. Didn't really work very much. But I don't also think it's fully Zay Jones' fault either. You know what I mean? Go big and get Josh Sweat. I would love this. Past Super Bowls was by Philly's defense, true, but Mahomes was immortal all. Yeah, no, that's true. The MVP of the Super Bowl was definitely the defense for the Philadelphia Eagles, for darn sure. Trading back. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can say this. You can say this. You can say this. Absolutely. You could absolutely say this. You can absolutely say this. So here's the thing, right? And I get it. The Arizona Cardinals right now, if you got Will Anderson Jr., then you don't have your left tackle, right? But Will Anderson Jr. was rookie of the year or defensive rookie of the year. He looked really, really good. I like Paris Johnson Jr. as well. It's just, the trading back definitely seems to hurt the Cardinals. I get draft capital is what we want. Get draft capital is what we needed. But people who fell to us, sometimes you just got to pull the trigger, right? And that's one thing I'm excited. I'm happy that the Cardinals got Marvin Harrison Jr., right? But it didn't help that Malik Neighbors, which was picked, 2 picks after us, and Brian Thomas Jr., that was picked in the 20s, had a better statistical rookie year than Marvin did, right? That didn't help. So, me personally, I would rather us not see. I'd rather us not trade down. I'd rather us not. Now, like I said before, if you take a look at the Daniel Jeremiah mock drafts that ended up happening here, I believe this last Daniel Jeremiah happened. This maybe came out yesterday or the day before. Kenneth Grant, and this is his 2.0 mock draft. Keep that in mind. This is his 2.0 mock draft. So his 1.0 mock draft, he has us going after Jalen Carter. But Jalen Carter, if you look at this mock draft, goes top 10? Yeah, Jalen Carter. I'm sorry, Jalen Walker. Good Lord, what am I doing? Jalen Walker. Sorry, Jalen Walker. So Jalen Walker goes 8th overall to the Panthers in this mock draft, and who falls to us is Kenneth Grant, right? But you don't see James Pierce Jr. on here at all. At all. So maybe it falls to the second round. So this is the 1.0 where he gets us getting Jalen Walker. Here we go, right there. And I don't think James Pierce Jr. is even on this list either, right? Let me take a look here real quick. I know we talked about it a little earlier that he might have injury concerns. Mike Green falls to 28. Oh, there he is. 31 to the Chiefs. Good Lord. Not the Chiefs. Ugh. Stab my heart if this happens. Good Lord, this better not happen. So, yeah, I mean, there's that. There's that. So, I hope we don't. But we'll have to kind of wait and see how free agency treats us, right? My guy here in the chat, Vargas, is it Yanko? Yanko Vargas says rushing is only going to get us so far till they figure out that that passing, we could have had double digits dubs last year. Yeah. Yep. Yep. I love Jalen Walker. I have him 4th overall on my big board. Nice. Yeah, Jalen Walker's a beast, man. Definitely a beast for sure. Got my guy in the chat says after the bye week, maybe he should go play baseball. I mean, you know how I feel about him. I'm not gonna keep beating a dead horse. We'll see. Yeah, Xavier Weaver. Man, I was excited about Xavier Weaver this last year too, and it's not his fault. It's all opportunity, right? But when you're an undrafted prospect, it's almost kind of seemed like you have to work double hard to try to even get a look. We saw him a couple different times here and there. I would love Xavier Weaver to finally get an opportunity. I really would. I liked him out of Boulder, Colorado. If he actually gets the opportunity to show out and actually do something, I would love this. I really would. So then you don't go after a wide receiver in the 3rd round. Heck, maybe use one of those late round picks for a wide receiver if need be. But I mean, this organization hopefully knows if Xavier Weaver is going to be that guy or not. If he's not, then use a 3rd round pick and potentially getting a wide receiver in this roster. Eddie in the chat here says Dak's record is in Kyler. Is somebody comparing the two? I mean, Dak has had a lot of success in the regular season, a lot of success. What is his? Is that really his record? Yeah, 76, 46 losses. Dak Prescott. Wow, it's actually a lot better than I thought it was. Good lord, that's a lot. That makes you. I did not know that. Wow. You know, you hear Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts, right? You hear their names a lot, with a lot of bagging on them. But you got to give some respect, man. Hurts already got a Super Bowl under his name. His record, marvelous. I did not know Dak Prescott was 76 and 46. I did know Kyler Murray was that bad. I did know that. Uh, we'll see though. We'll see what happens. Kyler's on a historically worse team. So what do we say about Jaden Daniels? Jaden Daniels is on a historically bad team as well in the Commanders. At one point, Redskins, right? Sometimes it does take a quarterback. Sometimes it does take a quarterback, man. It really does. He's still good. Paris Johnson Jr. had some bad games this year too, but he's still good tackle. For sure. Are we becoming delusional like the Cowboy fans believing that Kyler's going to get us a Super Bowl? I don't think Kyler's going to get us a Super Bowl. I never, ever, or actually, I might have at one point thought that. I'm not going to lie. At one point, I might have thought that. Not anymore, man. Not anymore. It does feel like 2025, we're just kind of, we're just trying to figure out. And that's the crazy thing. Like, how are you going into year 3 and still not knowing your franchise quarterback's the guy or not? Like, that's what's frustrating, right? Oh, do they really? How old? Are they pretty old? Definitely not in recent years. Definitely not in the 2000s, right? They're probably really, really old. Oh, it's all good. I get tripped up sometimes too. I call them Redskins because they were the Redskins at one point, and now obviously the Commanders. How old are those rings? I should probably look that up myself. Actually, let me look that up right now. Oh yeah, they're old. Yeah, they're old. So, I mean, they're not too far apart. So, let me take a look here. I'm looking for Super Bowls, not just championships. Let me see here. National Football. So, Eastern Division Conference. Have they won a Super Bowl though? Yeah, Super Bowl champions. So they got 3 of them. 82, 87, and 91 per Wikipedia. Yeah. Well, damn. Can we count the Cardinals championship in the 40s or whatever, the 20s, whatever the heck it was? Good lord. There you go, Hebe coming up. Yeah, 80s and 90s. There you go. Yep, there it is. 82, 87, and 91 per Wikipedia. But there's that. Sheesh. Good lord. Make us feel even worse. Make us feel even worse for Cardinal fans. Jeez Louise. Can we hire a McVay coach for our OC that would get you Marvin Harrison Jr. looking elite? Yeah, I mean, yeah, 2025. Let's just hope, man. Let's just hope. All we can hope for right now is hope. Hope and prayer that we can that we can be taking that next step. That's all we can hope for at this very moment. Yeah. No comment on that, Michael. No comment on that. But yeah. Archie Manning will do exactly what Eli Manning did to the Chargers. A Manning would never play for the Cardinals. Ugh. Fishbowl. Everybody is just completely just killing any chance we had to have any hope in 2025. Good lord. Good lord. My guy Bingo says Bingo Ivan. Let's take a look to see what Ivan said. Where Ivan at? Ivan. Where are you at? Here we go. Kyler just has to be decent. Hurts was carried by the league's best defense. Saquon's record-breaking season, a great O-line, and made some plays in the Super Bowl. The blueprint is out there. How far... Okay, let me ask you this. How far away we are from this blueprint? How far away are we? How far away? To being a great O-line or having a great O-line, having the league's best defense, and having the player like Saquon Barkley. How far are we? Because if we need all this, I mean, he also does have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and then Dallas Goedert is a pretty darn good tight end too. So how far away are we from this blueprint? How far away we are from this blueprint? So blueprint's out there, right? But how far are we? We're far. We're far. Yeah, I mean, we're far, man. We absolutely are far from this blueprint for sure. No, I mean, if it was easy, I feel like everybody would be able to replicate it, right? Because I don't think there's people out there that are saying Jalen Hurts is better than Kyler. There's people out there saying Kyler is better than Hurts, right? Whatever side you are on the fence, you're right. You build a good team around a player that doesn't have to be Superman, right? It doesn't have to play hero ball most of the time. Yeah, I mean, yeah, success is there, man. It's there. It's Monty Ossenfort making moves that we have not yet seen, right? We have not yet seen. And I'm not trying to say Monty Ossenfort isn't the guy. So let's not get it twisted here, right? Let's not sit here and get it twisted. We got to see those moves that's going to bringing in those guys that make you top offensive linemen, right? And keep in mind, too, this is a top O-line that they have there with Jason Kelce retired, right? Jason Kelce already retired. So, like, they still have a very good O-line, right? Because guess what? Drafting is very, very important. And we know this already. But they're going to get a lot of people potentially falling into the free agent market. Guess what? Howie Roseman has somebody already waiting that's probably going to be pretty darn equal, right? So, yeah, the blueprint's out there, right? You're right. But when are the Cardinals going to finally get it right? Like, that's the question, right? Because if you need all these things to help out Kyler to be a Super Bowl caliber team or a super caliber quarterback, are we going to get that next year in 2025? Are we going to get that in 2026 if he remains the quarterback for the Cardinals? Right? Did the Cardinals fail? Kyler? I mean, some might say, but did Kyler also fail the Cardinals organization too? Yeah, you could say the same thing. I think you can kind of go back and forth. Plenty of times have we seen games that he wasn't able to win, right? Win at the end. But yeah, the Cardinals organization, you could definitely say has failed teams or players that come in here as well. Yeah. Chris F in the chat says in a galaxy far, far away. So blueprint's out there, man. It's just we're not there yet. Yeah, I agree, man. Big Bird in the chat says Kyler or no, you need an elite roster to win the Super Bowl. Oh yeah, 100%. Oh, 100%. 100%. And we don't got that, right? We don't got that. Far from it, right? Far from an elite roster. We got my guy in the chat says another podcast. Ben Garcia, he wants Kyler gone too. And here, so I've actually had Ben Garcia on a show here once before. I don't want. He feels the way that I feel. I think here's the thing. When people say we want him gone, it doesn't mean we want him gone this year because there's no alternative out there. There is no. What I want is that for this Cardinals organization to start planning, right? Start planning the seed for the future. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not saying trade away Kyler, right? We made several videos about obviously Colin Cowherd coming out saying the Cardinals are going to potentially field some phone calls or try to get rid of him. But I was, even after that video, I was like, well, give me a plan. What's the plan after that? I'm not trying to go back to a 4 or 5 win season. I don't want to. And even this last video that we made a couple days ago about the Jets rumor that was going on, I said the same thing. You don't trade Kyler if you're not gonna, what is that gonna give you? You're only gonna give the Jets a good to decent quarterback that's gonna win you games in the NFL. But what happens with the Cardinals? You got the 7th overall pick and you don't get Shador and you don't get Cam Ward, and what happens there? Okay, well, what happens on our quarterback? So to me, I don't want Kyler gone now, but I do want us to start planning for the future because I don't think Super Bowl is going to be attainable. I'm going to be real here. There is an alternative, Jameis Winston and Milroe. Well, I mean, Milroe has gotten a lot of bad flack on him, right? I just don't know if he's the answer. But I mean, if you're willing to make that move, right? It's going to take a lot of, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? It's going to take some real big to do something like this. I don't see Monty doing it. I'm not saying he doesn't have any. I'm not saying I just don't see him doing anything like that. But there is an alternative. You're right, right? There is an alternative. You get a quarterback that nobody's high on, either Dart, Milroe, Howard, Gabriel, right? Ewers, right? You get a quarterback like that, develop him for a year, and you go after one of those veteran guys, right? A-Rod, Kirk Cousins that might get released, Jameis. You trade for one of those guys that look intriguing. Malik Willis, right? Get one of those guys that can be a bridge guy for you. Yeah, I mean, technically there is an alternative, right? But will it work? That's the question, right? Will it work? Cards only beat 2 teams over 500 this past year. Murray, if he didn't get paid, would have been gone on most teams. Can't disagree with that. I respectfully disagree. Jameis can't start in Cleveland and can't start in Cleveland and no one has a good grade on Milroe. Yeah, I mean, Milroe's draft stock has definitely taken a plummet for sure. The only way he can survive this plummet is that if he has a good combine. That's it. And even then, he's not going to be a top 10 pick. Heck, not even a top 15 pick, right? So maybe late first rounder if somebody really wants to take a flyer on him. But yeah, this quarterback class is seen as not a good quarterback class. That's what everybody's been saying, right? Do not trade Kyler, build walls, O-line, and D-line. Respect that. Trading Kyler is a loss for us as Cardinal fans. We don't have a QB who can win us games now. Yep. And yes, yes. Getting prepared. We're going on a vacation later on this month with the wife. So got a wedding to go to on the other side of the United States. So excited about that. A couple more comments, and then we're gonna be closing up shop here. Pete says not Milrow. Uh, uh, Vargas, what's up, man? He says, so let's say we do trade Kyler to the Jets. What is the worst situation and best situation that can? This is a good question. This is a good question. Good question. So it depends what the plan is, right? That's why every time we're talking about a Kyler video or we make a Kyler video, we're like, well, okay, well, what's the plan, right? What's the plan? What's the plan? So I don't think this is going to happen. I'm going to be real. I've talked to a few different content creators that are Jets, that cover the Jets, and I've heard already people from the Jets covering, like, I don't think anybody wants Kyler. I'm going to be real. Like, I don't think anybody wants Kyler Murray unless they get a steal for him, right? What the Cardinal fans want him for, like you have to get us 2 first-round picks. I don't think that's attainable, right? I really don't. Maybe his value might be a first-round pick. Okay, right? In 2025, I don't know. 2026, maybe, right? I don't know. I've talked to a couple people that don't even want to touch that contract that he's on, and that would rather groom and develop a young rookie. So I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think anybody's ever made it in the Cardinals organization. I don't think anybody's ever said that he's available. This rumor started because somebody made an article saying that, maybe the Jets could potentially go after him, right? He had a decent 2024 season. Why not? Keep in mind, the Jets are in shambles, right? They're going to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, and they're looking for a quarterback. So let me answer your question. So, and best situation that we can be in. Well, I mean, the only best situation that we can be in, the only thing I can think of is the fact that the Cardinals are already taking a jump into potentially getting their next quarterback, right? But you also got to keep in mind that it's not always greener on the other side. If you do go after this plan, you could potentially go after a quarterback and groom him for a year and get a bridge guy. But then you're already starting the next, right? You're already starting the next kind of thing, right? But then we're waiting again for another rebuild. So I don't know. I don't think the Cardinals are going to do it. I think they're going to be riding with Kyler in 2025. Now, all we're hoping for right now is that we do take that next step and we win a playoff game, because right now is as dead as we potentially could be when it comes down to excitement for 2025. Staff in the chat says, y'all got the culture. Now build the roster up. Go Hawks. Well, appreciate you, man. I got a Hawks fan here in the chat. Appreciate you, man. Can we address the defense before the offense? I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a question for Monty, I guess, right? It's a question for Monty. I think trenches is going to be what the Cardinals are going to do, right? That's what the Cardinals are going to do in the first round. But that can either be O-line or D-line as well. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, last question. Let's go with Spider. Michael, that's setting the bar really low. Mike's haircut is way... yeah. Sheesh. and people dreaming of Manning. What is it? Tanking. By the way, Mike's haircut is... Shee! Here we go. Michael and Spider talking about the cut. Sheesh. All right. Appreciate y'all. That's a good spot to end the stream right here. All right, y'all. Thank you so very much for being here, by the way. I know it's a freaking February, and it's February 19th, and we're talking about the Cardinals. We could be probably doing much better things with our time right now, but I thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will be closing up shop right here. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us and being here. Do me a huge favor, smack the like button on your way out. Another huge shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube, BetUS. Looking for a brand new sports book, BetUS is the way to go. Currently, right now, if you use promo code YouTube150, they will provide you with a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and a 125% sign-up bonus on the following two. That's going to be using promo code YouTube150 upon signing up. Of course, bet responsibly and bet within your means. But ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. It's always been a pleasure speaking to every one of you guys. Michael, Spida, staff, Fishbowl, JK, Brandon, Ivan, X. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Cardinals.